Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will discuss some of the important questions that are asked in ASP.NET Core. So those who have already been working in ASP.NET, there are a lot of difference the way we create a web application, we create REST API in .NET Core. As you know that .NET Core is again based upon open source, and the dependency of .NET Core, again, it is not limited to only Windows. Now it can be deployed on different platforms, whether it is Linux, Windows, Mac. Plus we don't have the dependency only on IIS. Yes, it can be installed on IIS, also deployed on IIS, but we have other servers also on which ASP.NET Core can be deployed. So in ASP.NET Core, we have many new features, and again, whatever coding we were doing in ASP.NET, again, there are a lot of difference in terms of folder structure also, and some new concepts called middleware is there. Then in terms of handling authentication, authorization, then how the requests are handled. Then we have the out of the box dependency injection that is there, through which the classes, the objects, the dependencies, again we can create modular program, we can decouple. Decoupling is feasible very easily in .NET Core. So there are a number of features that are being introduced. So we'll talk about some of the important features that are there, that are introduced in .NET Core, plus the way it is being done. I mean, in .NET Core we have that ORM concept also, through which either if you have already all your tables created in database, we can convert those tables into mapping classes, and if we have created classes, then we can just make sure that all the necessary tables are being created using the classes. So let's talk about some of the questions, and first will be the middleware. And middleware is, again, this is why we have to, or .NET was upgraded to .NET Core, because this middleware concept is everywhere. If you go to Node.js, we use middleware. So it is a series of request handling in which number of middlewares are there just for authentication, authorization, then logging, then monitoring. So we have this middleware where each middleware is supposed to do only one type of work. So in the context of application, basically it is into an application pipeline. So middleware is basically a pipeline in which the requests are being resolved step by step. So each component in the middleware chain is responsible for invoking the next component. First, that component executes it, executes what it is supposed to do, and then it pass the request or pass the handle to the next middleware. So it's a series of steps through which a request is being handled, not earlier like there was one particular function or module that was supposed to handle everything. Then we have use cases of middleware. I just discussed that for middleware there are series of steps. So you can go for authentication, authorization, then you can go for logging, you can go for monitoring, you can go for error handling, you can go for caching, you can go for localization. So all those things, you can just assume that these are all separate middlewares that are there to execute specific type of task. Then very important thing, again, it is introduced in AngularJS, in Node.js, that is called dependency injection, and it is based upon the principle of inversion of control. So dependency injection, basically it's a design pattern, again, to make a loosely coupled application in which it controls the communication or connection between class and their dependencies. So it allows for decoupling of constructions of class dependencies from its behavior. So it's a very important thing, so that like it can be introduced in the constructor of the component, and then whatever changes are there in the class, it will not get effect, because it is based upon that dependency injection inversion of control design principle. Then very important thing, whatever work you are going to do in ASP.NET, you need to register those services, whether it is entity framework, whether you are going for any new service, those services should be registered in your startup class. So services are registered using configure service. So there are two methods through which you register your services, and we have configure services. You use provide this interface called service collection to add services to the application. Then the next question is basically how we can manage this uh, authentication part. So again, .NET Core provides all the different types of authentication. JWT is one, JSON Web Token. Then we have authorization framework. Then we have also this OpenID Connect, a simple identity layer on top of Auth 2.0. Then we have entity framework core. So this is basically very important thing. Entity framework core, where we are able to communicate with the database using classes, using objects. So earlier we have to manually write some code to create databases tables. So entity framework is an open source, lightweight, extensible, cross-platform version of entity framework, and this is basically for to implement the concept of ORM, that is object relationship mapper. And basically it enables developer to work with database using .NET object. So now there is no logging into your database, going at there and create databases, then create tables, then creating schemas. So that was done separately, but now using this ORM, this can all be managed from the .NET Core classes and objects. So entity framework is again very important, and we have two different concepts. One is called code first approach and another is called database first approach. So in code base, we create the classes, we define, we declare all the variables, and those variables are basically mapped to the database. So based upon the variables, those are converted into fields in the database. And similarly, if we have already set up everything in database, we can create the mapping classes. Then we have very important thing in terms of security. So these are two security concept called cross-site scripting and cross-site request forgery. So whenever we are going to create a web application, we need to make sure that nobody can insert any malicious script so into the content, and then that content starts serving to the different users. And CSRF is cross sites request forgery, in which your browser is tweaked in such a way that it starts sending some information to the server, and it starts impersonating like authenticated user. Then if we talk about deployment of ASP.NET Core application, all the different types. Infra as a service, in which you provision your infra and you install all the things by yourself, and then you deploy. You install IIS, you deploy whatever server you want. Second, we have this container. So you can use Docker, you create a container and then you deploy it on the server. Then we have app service concept. So that is again platform as a service. So these are all the things through which you can deploy your application. So these are all basic questions that are being asked in ASP.NET Core. We will be discussing some more questions in our upcoming videos. If you like this videos, please like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching this video.